I need to tell you something that most preppers will never admit. For the last 11 years, I have been quietly buying food from places that other preppers do not even know exist. And I am talking about sources where you can get the same quality food for literally 1/3 of the price. While everyone is standing in line at Costco paying premium prices, I have been walking into stores that are practically empty, buying food that lasts just as long, tastes better, and costs so little, it feels like cheating. Number 9 on this list is a place I drive past 3 times before I finally went in. Now I spend $200 there every month and walk out with what would cost me $600 anywhere else. And number 4 is going to make you angry when you realize how much money you have wasted. Here is what nobody wants to admit in the prepping world. We all shop at the same 5 stores. We all buy the same brands. And we all pay way too much because we think that is just what it costs. But during the supply chain chaos 2 years ago, I watched preppers panic buying at the big stores while I calmly walked into a tiny shop most people drive right past and filled my cart with everything I needed. Nobody was there. Prices had not changed. Shelves were full. Before we get into it, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now because what I am about to share could save you thousands of dollars. This year alone. Let's go. Source number 1 is restaurant supply stores. Okay, first one is something hiding in plain sight in every major city, but most preppers have no idea they can shop there. Restaurant supply stores. I am talking about the places where actual restaurants buy their food. And here is the secret that changed everything for me. Most of these stores are open to the public. You do not need a business license. You do not need a membership. You just walk in. I discovered this 3 years ago completely by accident. I was driving through an industrial area and saw this massive warehouse with a sign that said Restaurant Supply. I thought you needed special credentials, but I walked in anyway just to see. What I found blew my mind. 50-pound bags of rice for $18. The exact same rice I was paying $45 for at the regular grocery store. Giant cans of tomato sauce for $3 each. I had been paying $7 for tiny cans. Source number 2 is ethnic cash and carry warehouses. Number 2 is where things get really interesting. Ethnic cash and carry warehouses. I am talking about the big wholesale places that supply small ethnic grocery stores, restaurants, and bodegas. These are usually in industrial areas, and most Americans have never stepped foot in one. I found my first one 5 years ago in a warehouse district. There is no fancy sign, just a basic building with cars parked outside. I walked in, and it was like entering another world. Pallets of rice stacked to the ceiling, entire aisles of spices in bags the size of pillows. Cooking oil in containers I could barely lift, and the prices made me feel like I had been getting robbed my entire life. Here is a real example. I bought a 25-pound bag of basmati rice for $16. Source number 3 is Amish and Mennonite bulk food stores. All right, number 3 is something that sounds almost like a fairy tale until you actually go there. Amish and Mennonite bulk food stores. If you live anywhere near Amish or Mennonite communities, you have access to food prices that will make your jaw drop. I drove 2 hours to an Amish bulk food store 3 years ago after hearing rumors from another prepper. I thought it could not possibly be as good as people said. I was wrong. These stores are usually in rural areas, often in converted barns or simple buildings. No fancy displays, no marketing, just raw food in bulk at prices that seem impossible. Here is what I bought on my first trip: 50 pounds of oats for $12. At a regular store, a small canister of oats is $5 for maybe 3 pounds. 50 pounds of wheat flour for $15. Source number 4 is salvage grocery stores. Number 4 is going to change how you think about food shopping entirely. Salvage grocery stores. These are stores that buy overstock, discontinued items, close-to-date products, and cosmetically damaged goods from major retailers and sell them at massive discounts. I found my first salvage grocery store by accident. I was driving through a small town and saw a store with a hand-painted sign that said "Discount Groceries." I stopped in out of curiosity and could not believe what I was seeing. Name-brand items for a fraction of normal prices. We are talking 50 to 70% off. But here's the key: these are not expired or bad products. They are things like a dented can where the store cannot sell it at full price. A box of cereal where the corner got crushed in shipping. Overstock from a product line that got discontinued. The food inside is perfectly fine. Let me give you real examples from my last trip. I bought organic canned tomatoes, a premium brand, for 60 cents a can. Normal price is $3.50. I found cases of protein bars, the expensive kind, for $1 a box when they normally sell for $15. Pasta, rice, canned goods, snacks, baking supplies, all at prices so low it felt illegal. Here is what makes this incredible for preppers. You can build a massive stockpile for almost nothing. I spent $100 and walked out with a cart so full I could barely push it. The same items at a regular grocery store would have cost at least $400. But you have to be flexible. You cannot walk in with a specific shopping list because inventory changes constantly based on what the store acquires. You have to adapt and buy what is available. I have learned to build my meal planning around what I find rather than shopping for specific recipes. The shelf life is usually fine. Yes, some items might be within a few months of their expiration date, but if you are rotating your stock properly, like any prepper should, that is not an issue. And honestly, most expiration dates are wildly conservative anyway. Here is my strategy. I check the dates on everything. Anything with more than 6 months, I add to my long-term stockpile. Anything with less than 6 months, I use for regular daily meals. This keeps everything rotating and nothing goes to waste. The quality is often surprisingly good. I have found organic products, premium brands, and specialty items that I would never buy at full price. But at salvage prices, I stock up. One tip that took me a while to figure out: visit regularly because inventory turns over fast. I stop by my local salvage store every 2 weeks. Each time, there's completely different stock. You learn to recognize patterns too. Certain times of year, you will find specific items. After Halloween, candy is dirt cheap. After the holidays, baking supplies are everywhere. Learn the rhythm and you can really maximize your savings. Source number 5 is Asian supermarkets. Okay, number 5 is one I mention to preppers all the time, and they look at me like I am crazy. Asian supermarkets. Not the little corner stores. I am talking about the big, full-size Asian grocery stores in major cities. If you have never been in one, you are missing out on prepper gold. I started shopping at Asian markets about 6 years ago when a friend took me to one. I was completely overwhelmed at first. Everything was in different languages, unfamiliar brands, and products I did not recognize. But once I started exploring, I realized this was a prepper paradise. Here is why. Asian markets specialize in shelf-stable foods. rice in varieties and quantities. American stores do not carry. We are talking 20-pound bags for the price of a 5-pound bag at a regular store. Noodles of every type imaginable, all shelf-stable, all cheap. Dried goods like mushrooms, seaweed, and fish that last forever. Let me give you real prices. I bought a 20-pound bag of jasmine rice for $15. The same rice at a regular grocery store is $8 for 5 pounds. Instant noodles, the good kind, not garbage ramen, for 50 cents a pack. Canned coconut milk for $1 when regular stores charge $3. But here is where it gets really interesting. Asian markets carry ingredients that are nutritional powerhouses, but completely overlooked by Western preppers. Dried seaweed packed with iodine and minerals. Fermented products like miso paste that lasts years and provides probiotics. Dried fish for protein that requires no refrigeration. Chia seeds, sesame seeds, and other nutrient-dense foods at bulk prices. The staff is usually incredibly helpful once you ask. I explained to a store manager once that I was trying to build a food stockpile, and he walked me through the entire store, pointing out the best values. He showed me products I would have never found on my own. Here is a specific example. I found these vacuum-sealed rice cakes. They last for months, require zero preparation, and cost maybe 20 cents each. I bought a case, and they became a staple in my bug-out bag and car emergency kit. The variety is incredible. You can find everything from basic staples to specialty items. Sauces and seasonings that transform bland stockpile food into something your family actually wants to eat. Dried spices in quantities that would cost a fortune at regular stores. Here is my shopping strategy. I dedicate one trip a month to the Asian market. I stock up on rice, noodles, canned goods, and dried ingredients. I also grab sauces and seasonings to keep meals interesting. The money I save compared to regular stores is easily a couple $100s a month. And during shortages, Asian markets are often overlooked. When everyone is panic buying at mainstream stores, Asian markets are sitting there fully stocked because most Americans do not think to go there. Source number 6 is buying clubs for restaurants. Number 6 is a hack that most preppers never even consider. Buying clubs specifically designed for restaurants. I am talking about places like Restaurant Depot or other regional restaurant buying clubs. Here is the secret. Many of these allow membership if you have any kind of business, even a sole proprietorship. You can get a business license in most states for less than $50. Some people use a side hustle, an eBay store, or even a food blog as their business to qualify. Once you are in, you have got access to food pricing that is borderline insane. I got my membership 4 years ago using a small online business I run on the side. The annual fee was maybe $60. What I save in one shopping trip pays for the membership 10 times over. Here is what you find inside. Institutional size packaging at wholesale prices. We are talking cases of canned goods, 50-pound bags of rice and beans, giant containers of cooking oil, and bulk spices that would cost hundreds at retail stores. Let me give you a breakdown from my last trip. Case of canned green beans, 12 number 10 cans for $24. Each can holds over a gallon. At a grocery store, that amount would cost at least $80. 50 pounds of pinto beans for $18. Gallon jugs of soy sauce, olive oil, and vinegar for less than small bottles cost at regular stores. But here is what makes this perfect for serious preppers. The quality is commercial grade. Restaurants depend on consistency and shelf life, so everything is built to last. The packaging is heavy duty, and the variety is incredible. You find ingredients in products that regular stores do not even carry. The layout is no frills. Concrete floors, industrial shelving, and pallets of food stacked everywhere. But who cares? You are not there for ambiance. You are there to get the best prices on earth. Here is a strategy I use. I go with a list, but I stay flexible. Sometimes they have manager specials on overstock items. I have walked out with cases of stuff for half the already low price just because they had too much inventory. One tip: bring a truck or a large vehicle because you are going to buy big. I learned this the hard way when I showed up in a sedan and had to leave half my cart behind because it would not fit. Now I bring my truck and fill it up. Also, bring a friend or family member. Shopping together means you can split bulk items. If you do not need 50 pounds of flour but your buddy does, you can split a bag and both save money. These stores are also open to the public on certain days in some locations, so even without a membership, you might be able to shop there occasionally. Check their policies. Source number 7 is farmer cooperatives. All right, number 7 is something most city preppers never think about, but if you are anywhere near rural areas, this is a gold mine. Farmer cooperatives. These are organizations where local farmers pool their resources and sell directly to the public. No middleman, no retail markup, just farm-to-consumer pricing. I joined a co-op 3 years ago, and it changed everything. I pay an annual membership fee of about $30, and in exchange, I get access to bulk food at prices that make grocery stores look like a scam. Here is how it works. The co-op negotiates directly with farmers for bulk purchases. Then members can buy at near wholesale prices. We are talking fresh produce during growing season, bulk grains, honey, dairy, eggs, and meat, all at massive discounts. Let me give you a real example. Last fall, I bought 100 pounds of potatoes for $15. That is 15 cents a pound. At a grocery store, potatoes are at least $1 a pound. I also bought 50 pounds of carrots for $10. Fresh, organic, locally grown. I spent a weekend dehydrating and canning them. Now I've got shelf-stable vegetables that cost me almost nothing. Here is what makes this incredible for preppers. You are getting food at peak freshness, which means maximum nutrition. When you preserve it yourself, you control the quality. No preservatives, no added chemicals, just real food. The variety is amazing. Depending on the season, you can get everything from apples and berries to squash and grains. I have bought bulk oats, wheat berries, and dried beans directly from farmers at prices that beat even restaurant supply stores. Here is a preservation strategy I use. When I buy bulk produce from the co-op, I immediately process it. I dehydrate, can, freeze dry if I have access to a machine, or ferment depending on the item. This gives me control over my stockpile and saves a fortune. One tip: build relationships with the farmers. I have gotten incredible deals just by talking to people and showing genuine interest. One farmer sold me 100 pounds of blemished apples for $5 because they could not sell them at market. I made applesauce and dried apples that will last years. Another bonus is that co-ops often have workshops and classes. I have learned canning, fermentation, and food preservation techniques from people who have been doing it their entire lives. That knowledge is priceless. Source number 8 is wholesale bakery outlets. Number 8 is hiding in plain sight in almost every city, but most preppers walk right past it. Wholesale bakery outlets. These are the stores attached to large commercial bakeries where they sell overstocked, day-old items and products that did not meet cosmetic standards for retail. I found one near me 2 years ago, and I kicked myself for not finding it sooner. The prices are absolutely unbelievable. Bread for 50 cents a loaf, bagels for $1 a dozen, tortillas, buns, rolls, all at massive discounts. Now you might be thinking bread does not store well. You are right if you are talking about regular storage. But here is the secret: you freeze it. I bought a small chest freezer specifically for bread products. I stock up at the bakery outlet, bring it home, and freeze everything. Bread freezes perfectly and lasts for months. When I need it, I pull out a loaf, let it thaw, and it is like fresh. But here is where this gets really smart for preppers. Bread is expensive, and it is one of the first things to disappear during shortages. Having a freezer full of bread products means your family eats normally even when stores are empty. Let me give you real numbers. I spend about $20 at the bakery outlet and come home with enough bread products to last my family a month. The same amount at a grocery store would cost at least $100, probably more, and the quality is often better than cheap grocery store bread. These are products from commercial bakeries that supply restaurants and stores. Here's another hack. Many bakery outlets sell bulk flour and baking mixes at crazy low prices. I have bought 25-pound bags of bread flour for $8. Pancake mix, muffin mix, all heavily discounted. If you do any baking, this is a no-brainer. One tip: go early in the day for the best selection. These stores sell out fast because locals who know about them shop there regularly. Also, ask about delivery days. If you time your visit right after a fresh delivery, the selection is incredible. Some bakery outlets also sell frozen dough. I have bought frozen pizza dough, bread dough, and roll dough for almost nothing. Keep it frozen until you need it, then bake it fresh. Your family thinks you are a baking genius, when really you just know where to shop. Source number 9 is liquidation stores. Number 9 is where I have found some of my best deals ever, but it requires a little bit of hunting. Liquidation stores. These are stores that buy pallets of overstock, returns, and closeout items from major retailers and sell them at massive discounts. The inventory is random and constantly changing, but if you know what to look for, you can build a stockpile for pennies on the dollar. I started shopping at liquidation stores about 4 years ago. The first time I walked in, I was confused. It looked chaotic, with boxes and items everywhere, but once I understood the system, I realized this was a gold mine. Here is how it works. Big retailers like Amazon, Walmart, and Target have massive amounts of returned items, overstock, and seasonal products they need to move. They sell these items in bulk pallets to liquidation companies, who then sell them in liquidation stores. You are buying at a fraction of retail because these items cannot go back on regular store shelves. Let me give you examples of what I have found. Cases of protein bars for $2 a box when they retail for $12. Canned goods, sometimes slightly dented, for 30 cents a can. Pasta, rice, and dried goods at 70 to 80% off. Vitamins and supplements, often name brands, for a couple of dollars. But you have to be smart. Check expiration dates carefully. Inspect packaging to make sure items are not damaged. And be flexible, because you never know what will be in stock. Here is my strategy. I visit my local liquidation store every week. I do a quick scan of the food section and grab anything that fits my stockpile needs. I spend maybe $20 to $30 and walk out with a cart full of stuff that would cost $100 or more at regular prices. One amazing find was a case of freeze-dried camping meals. Someone had returned them to a sporting goods store, and they ended up at the liquidation store. I paid $15 for a case of 10 meals that retail for $12 each. That is $120 worth of food for 15 bucks. Here is a tip. Get to know the staff. Ask when new pallets arrive. Some stores have certain days when they put out fresh inventory. If you time your visit right, you get first pick of the best deals. Source number 10 is food auctions. All right, number 10 is something most people have never even heard of. Food auctions. Yes, auctions where they sell food. These are usually held by wholesalers, distributors, or liquidators who need to move large quantities of product quickly. I went to my first food auction 2 years ago after hearing about it from another prepper. I had no idea what to expect. What I found was pallets of food being auctioned off for ridiculously low prices. Here is how it works. Companies that go out of business, overstock from distributors, or product recalls that are technically fine but cannot be sold retail all end up at these auctions. Buyers bid on pallets or cases of food. If you win, you pay and haul it away. Let me tell you about my first auction. I bid on a pallet of canned vegetables. I had no idea what I was doing, so I bid conservatively. I won the pallet for $35. When I got it home and counted, it was over 200 cans of mixed vegetables, corn, green beans, peas, carrots, all name brand, all within date. At retail prices, that pallet was worth at least $300. I paid $35. Here is the catch. You are usually buying in bulk. We are talking full pallets or cases. So you need storage space and a way to transport it. I bring a truck, and I have got shelving in my garage specifically for auction finds. But if you have got the space, the savings are absolutely insane. I have bought cases of pasta, rice, canned goods, snacks, and even frozen food at auctions. The prices are so low it feels like stealing. Here is a strategy. Go to a few auctions just to watch before you start bidding. Learn how it works, see what items go for, and figure out your budget. Do not get caught up in bidding wars. Set a max price and stick to it. Also, inspect items when possible. Some auctions let you preview the pallets before bidding. Check for damage, dates, and overall quality. One tip, bring cash. Many auctions prefer cash payments, and some do not take cards. Also, bring help. Moving a pallet of food is not a one-person job. I bring a friend or a family member, and we split some of the items if the pallet is too much for one household. Source number 11 is commercial grain elevators. Number 11 is for serious preppers who want the absolute best prices on bulk grains. Commercial grain elevators. These are the facilities where farmers bring their harvested grain to sell. And here is the secret. Many of them will sell directly to the public. I started buying from a grain elevator 3 years ago, and I will never go back to buying grain anywhere else. The prices are unbeatable because you are buying as close to the source as possible. Here is how it works. You call ahead and ask if they sell to individuals. Most do, especially in rural areas. You bring your own containers, usually food-grade buckets, and they fill them directly from their storage silos. Let me give you real prices. I bought 100 pounds of hard red wheat for $20. That is 20 cents a pound. At a health food store, wheat berries are $2 to $3 a pound. I also bought oats, corn, and barley at similar prices. The quality is incredible because this is the same grain that goes to food manufacturers. It is clean, graded, and often organic if you ask for it. Here is what you need. food-grade buckets with lids, oxygen absorbers, and a way to transport heavy containers. 100 pounds of grain is heavy, so bring help or a dolly. The staff at grain elevators are usually super helpful. I explained what I was doing, and they gave me tips on storage and even recommended the best grains for long-term prep. Here is a preservation method I use. As soon as I get home, I transfer the grain into clean buckets, add oxygen absorbers, and seal them tight. Stored this way, whole grains last decades. One warning, make sure the grain is clean and food grade. Some elevators sell feed grade grain which is not meant for human consumption. Always specify you want food grade. This is not for everyone. It requires space, equipment, and a bit of effort. But if you are serious about prepping and you want the best value for bulk grains, this is the ultimate source. Source number 12 is online overstock retailers. All right, number 12 is perfect for preppers who do not have access to physical discount stores or live in remote areas. Online overstock retailers, websites that specialize in selling overstock, closeout, and surplus food at deep discounts. I have been buying from a few of these sites for years, and the deals are incredible. Here is how it works. Retailers and manufacturers end up with excess inventory for all kinds of reasons. Seasonal overstock, packaging changes, discontinued products. Okay. Instead of destroying it, they sell it to overstock websites who then offer it to consumers at massive discounts. Let me give you examples. I bought cases of organic canned soup for $1 a can when they retail for $4. Energy bars, snacks, pasta, rice, canned goods, all at 50 to 70% off retail.